Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon. Today we're back with another Enlisted video, and today we're going to be doing one of the most overpowered tanks in Enlisted right now, and that is the Japanese Ho Ri. This tank is amazing, but before we do that, we have to talk about the sponsor of this video, which is my Discord. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or joined this Discord, highly suggest that you do, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. That said, let's get started because I don't want to wait to talk anymore about Ho Ri when you should all be using it. But that said, let's get started with the history. In September 1942, the Japanese army learned about the superior M4 Sherman tanks, prompting them to start new tank projects with 47, 57, and 75mm cannons. The merging of the 47 and the 57 projects lead to the Type 4 Chi-To tanks, and the 75mm led to the Type 5 Chi-Ri tanks. A shift in policy in July of 1943, influenced by German-Soviet tank warfare, rededicated the Japanese tank development towards anti-armor roles, resulting in a series of tank destroyers. The Type 5 Chi-Ri became the foundation for the new tank destroyer, with the Ho Ri being used advanced Japanese technology and superior suspension systems. In parallel, a new 105mm anti-tank weapon was developed, and although it failed to meet initial penetration requirements, it was still supervised to existing Japanese tanks, and it was accepted as the Type 5 10cm cannon. The Ho Ri tank destroyer has two concepts: the Ho Ri 1 with a rear-mounted superstructure and central engine, and Ho Ri 2 with a centralized superstructure and rear engine powered by a 550 horsepower BMW engine. Due to his inadequate armor against US anti-tank weapons, a third design, Ho Ri 3, featured an improved 120mm slope armor with a 37 secondary gun for increased survivability and operational efficiency. Said Ho Ri 3 was completed in 1944, achieving top speed of 40 km per hour. Although this all sounds great on paper, I have yet to find a single source in which to say that this thing was actually built, with the exception, of course, the mock-ups. And, of course, we don't even have sources in which it states that this was seen action. With that said, let's get started with the stats. The Ho Ri is at tier 5, and it has a 6-man crew, and it has a 105mm Type 5 cannon. The maximum speed is 40 km per hour. The frontal armor is 120, side of 75, back of 35, bottom of 35, and turret armor of 225, the side of 75, back of 50, and top of 20. It has an engine power of 935 HP at 1500 RPM, and it has a weight of 65 tons. And with that said, let's get to the verdict. And this thing, like I said at the beginning of this video, is OP. The 105mm gun is really something. It's really good. The fast fire rate is also really good at taking out enemy tanks / infantry. Speaking of enemy tanks / infantry, you do not have a machine gun. Well, you don't even have a commander's hatch, meaning you cannot use a secondary weapon, meaning that if your enemies get close, you will have a problem. The frontal armor is also really good, and it is at 225 to 120mm of frontal armor, which is really good. The sides are terrible. 20mm from planes can penetrate you. Infantry can also take you out from the back, because there is an opening which they can essentially throw grenades into, well, the crew. And even a Molotov can kill you from the back, because there is apparently an open lid of the tank. So that's that. The speed is really good for a heavy beast, considering the fact that 65 km per hour, it still goes at 40 kph. That's pretty good, just saying. And that's where we are in terms of stats and verdict. In my personal opinion, I highly suggest that you use this. This is no tank destroyer. I think this honestly is an anti-everything tank. Against infantry, it can take them out really quickly because the anti-infantry weapon, which is the main 105mm, is really good at destroying them. You can even take out heavy tanks such as the M26 Pershing with the exact same cannon, although if you get the entire crew maxed, the reload rate is going to be very high. The 6-man crew is also very good because, well, we have 6 people in the crew, so that's pretty good. It's high survivability, not to mention the armor is really good. Almost all the times I have been killed is through planes, or if I've decided to get too aggressive and go into unprotected territory, so that's that. Overall, this tank is really good. I highly suggest that you use it. As of right now, it is one of the most overpowered things you can bring onto the battlefield. Not only because it is that good, but it's overall an amazing tank. Essentially, this is the Japanese version of the Yak Panther. Really good, and it's free. Well, free in terms of you don't require gold, but it's really good. Get it, use it, and I'll see you on the battlefield.